Geralt,
said Dandelion, standing in the stirrups to pick a fine apple from a branch we stretched over the orchard fence.
all the way you've been complaining about it being harder and harder to find work, yet, from what I heard, it looks as if you could work here without break until winter. You'd make a penny or two, and I have some beautiful subjects for my ballads. So explain why we are riding on.
I wouldn't make a penny, Dandelion,
Why?
because there wasn't a word of truth in what they said.
I beg your pardon?
None of the creatures they mentioned exist.
You're joking.
Dandelion spat out a pip and threw the apple core the patch mongrel.
No, it's impossible. I was watching them carefully and I know people. They weren't lying.
No,
The Witcher agreed.
they weren't lying, they firmly believed it all, which doesn't change the facts.
The poet was silent for a while.
None of those monsters? None? It can be. Something of what they listed must be here, at least one. Admit it.
Alright, I admit it. One does exist for sure.
Ha! What?
A bat.
They rode out beyond the last fences onto a highway between beds of yellow and oilseed and cornfields rolling in the wind. Loaded carts traveled past them in the opposite direction. The bard pulled his leg over his saddlebow, rested his lute on his knee, and strummed nostalgic tunes, waving from time to time at the giggling, scantily clad girls wandering along the sides of the road, carrying rakes on their robust shoulders.
Geralt,
He said suddenly.
but monsters do exist. Maybe not as many as before, maybe they don't lurk behind every tree in the forest, but they are there, they exist. So how do you account for people inventing ones then? What's more, believing in what they invent, a famous witcher, haven't you wondered why?
I have, famous poet, and I know why.
I'm curious.
People
Geralt turned his head.
like to invent monsters and monstrosities, then they seem less monstrous themselves. Then they get blind drunk, cheat, steal, beat their wives, starve an old woman. Then they kill the trapped fox with an axe or riddle the last existing unicorn with arrows. They like to think that the bunny entering cottages at daybreak is more monstrous than they are. They feel better then. They find it easier to live.
I'll remember that.
Said Dandelion after a moment's silence.
I'll find some rhymes and compose a ballad about it.
Do, but don't expect a great applause.
They rode slowly but lost at the last cottages of the hamlet from sight. Soon they had climbed the row of forested hills.
Ha!
Dandelion halted his horse and looked around.
Look, Geralt, isn't it beautiful here? Idyllic, damn it. A feast for the eyes.
The land sloped gently down the mosaic of flat, even fields picked out the variously colored crops. In the middle, round and regular like a leaf of clover, sparkled the deep waters of 3 lakes surrounded by dark ships of ordered thickets. The horizon was traced by a misty blue lines of mountains rising above the black, shapeless stretch of forest.
We are riding on, Dandelion.
The road lay straight toward the lakes alongside dikes and ponds hidden by elder trees and filled with quaking mallards, garganys, herons and grabs. The richness of bird life was surprising alongside the signs of human activity. The dikes were well maintained and covered with pheasants, while the sluice gates had been reinforced with stones and beams. The outlet boxes, which were not in the least rotten, trickled merrily with water. Canoes and jetties were visible in the trees by the lakes, and bars of set nets and fish pots were poking out of deep waters. Dandelion suddenly looked around.
Someone's following us.
He said, excited.
In a cart.
Incredible!
Scoffed the Witcher without looking around.
In a cart? And I thought that the locals rode on bats.
Do you know what?
Growled the troubadour.
The closer we get to the edge of the world, the sharper you wit. I dread to think what it will come to.
They weren't riding fast, and the empty cart, drawn by 2 piebald horses, quickly caught up with them.
Woohoo!
The driver brought the horses to a halt just behind them. He was wearing a sheepskin over his bearskin, and his hair reached down to his brows.
The gods be praised, noble sirs.
We too.
Replied Dandelion, familiar with the custom.
Praise them.
If you want to.
Murmured the Witcher.
I call myself Natalie.
Announced the carter.
I was watching you speak to the idle man atop the posada. I know you're tired, be a witcher.
Geralt let go of the reins and let his mare snort at the roadside nettles.
I did hear.
Natalie continued.
The animal For I tell you stories, I marked your expression, and was near stretched to me. In a long time now I have never heard such balderdash and lies.
Then Dillian laughed. Geralt was looking at the peasant attentively, silently. Nedley cleared his throat.
Care you not to be hired for real. Proper work, sir?
He asked.
There'd be something I have for you.
And what is that?
Nedley didn't lower his eyes.
It'd be damn good to speak of business on the road. Let us drive on Tomahawk to Lower Pisara. There we'll speak. Anyways, choose that way here to be hearing.
Why are you so sure?
It's cause you have other way here. And ye horses. Noses be turned in that direction to their butts.
Then Dillian laughed again.
What do you say to that, Geralt?
Nothing.
Said the Witcher.
It's no good to talk on the road, and I'll away then, Honorable Neatly.
Tie your horses to the flame and set yourselves down to the cart.
The peasant proposed.
It'd be more comfortable for you. Why wreck your asses on the saddle?
Too true.
They climbed onto the cart. The Witcher stretched out comfortably on the straw, then Dillian, evidently afraid of getting his elegant green jerkin dirty, sat on the plank. Nedley clogged his tongue and the horses in the vehicle clattered along the beam-reinforced dike. They crossed a bridge over canal overgrown with water lilies and duckweed and past a strip of cut meadows. Cultivated fields stretched as far as the eye could see.
It's hard to believe that this should be the edge of the world, the edge of civilization,
Said Dandelion.
Just look, Geralt. Rye like gold, and a mounted peasant could hide in that corn, or that oilseed. Look, how enormous.
You know about agriculture?
We poets have to know about everything.
Said Dandelion haughtily.
Otherwise, we'd compromise our work. One has to learn, my dear fellow, learn. The fate of the world depends on agriculture, so it's good to know about it. Agriculture feeds, clothes, protects from the cold, provides entertainment and supports art.
You have exaggerated a bit with entertainment and art.
And booze, what's that made of?
I get it.
Not very much, you don't. Learn. Look at those purple flowers. They're lupins.
They bewitched to be true.
Interrupted Nedley.
Have you never seen lupus? Oh, words. But ye have here exact. With one thing, sir. Everything seems lightly here, and grows to as make the heart sing. That be why it is called the Valley of Flowers. That be why our forefathers settled here, first riding the land of the Elves.
The Valley of Flowers? That's Dol Blathana.
Dandelion nudged the Witcher, who was stretched out on the straw with his elbow.
You paying attention? The elves have gone, but their names remains. The lack of imagination. And how do you get on with the elves here, dear host? You've got them in the mountains across the path, after all.
We now mix with each other, each to his own.
The best solution.
Said the poet.
Isn't that right, Geralt?
The Witcher didn't reply.
Геральт, odezwał się Jaskier, stając Szymonów i zrywając drobny jabłko z gałęzią stojący poza ogrodzenie sadu. Całą drogę narzekałeś, że coraz to trudniej przychodzi co znaleźć zajęcie. A z tego, co przed chwilą słyszałem, wynika, że będziesz tu pracował do zimy. I to bez wytchnienia. To zarobiłbyś trochę groszy. Ja miałbym pękne tematy do balu. Dlaczego więc, wytłumacz mi, jedziemy dalej? Nie zarobię to ani szplonka, Jaskier. Dlaczego? Dlatego, że w tym, co oni mówili, nie było słowa prawdy. Co proszę? Żaden ze stworów, o których mówili, nie istnieje. Żartujesz chyba. Jaskier wypluł peskę i rzucił ogryskiem wyczącego kundla, szczególnie zawziętego na pięciny koni. Nie, to niemożliwe. Przyglądałem się tym ludziom, a ja się na ludziach znam. Oni nie kłamali. Nie, zgodził się Wiedźmin, nie kłamali. Głęboko wierzyli we wszystko, co nie zmienia faktu. Poeta milczał czas jakiś. Żaden z tych potworów? Żaden? To być nie może. Coś z tego, co wymienili, musi to być. Chociaż jedno, przyznaj, przyznaję. Jedno to jest z pewnością. Co? Nietoperze. Łony na gościńcu wśród zagonów żółtych od rzepaku i felujących na wietrze łanów zboża. Drogą, w przeciwnym kierunku, przymknęły wyładowane wozy. Bar przyłożył nogę przez pęk siodła, oparł lutnię o kolano i wybrzydkiwał na strunach tęskne melodie. Od czasu do czasu, machając ręką kochiłoczącym, pod kasanym drzewiem, wędrującym poboczami skrapiami na krzepkich ramionach. Geralt, powiedział nagle, przecież potwory są. Może nie jest ich tyle, co niegdyś. Może nie czają się za każdym drzewem w lesie, ale przecież są, istnieją. Czemu więc przypisać, że ludzie dodatkowo wymieniają takie, które nie istnieją? Mało tego, wierzą w to, co wymyślają. Geralcie z Ривии, słynny Wiedźminie. Nie zastanawiałeś się nad tą przyczyną? Zastanawiałem, słynny poeta, i znam tę przyczynę. Ciekawe. Ludzie. Geralt odwrócił głowę. Lubię wymyślić potwory i potworności. Sami sobie wydają się wtedy mniej potworni. Gdy piją na umór, oszukują, kradną, leją żony lejcami, może kładą babkę staruszkę, tłukną siekierką schwytanego w paści lisa lub szpiechują strzałami ostatniego pozostałego na świecie jednorożca. Lubię myśleć, że jednak potworniejsze od nich jest mor, wchodzący do brzasku. Wtedy jakoś lżej mi się robi na sercu i łatwiej im żyć. Zapamiętałem, powiedział Jaskier po chwili milczenia. No biorę rytmu i ułożył tę balladę. Ułóż. Ale mieliśmy wielki poklask. Jechali wolno, ale wkrótce stracili z oczu ostatnie chałupy osady. Niebawem pokonali linię zalesione wzgórz. Ha! Jaskier trzymał konia, rozejrzał się. Spójrz, Geralt. Czyż to nie pięknie? Idylia, jak nie diabli. Oko się raduje.